Welcome to online English class. This is level 1, lesson number 7, which starts on April 29th. This is part 1, so this is video 1. In this video, we're going to do the warm-up. We're going to do Unit 7. In Unit 7, we're going to review Lesson B and review Lesson C. And then we're going to practice Lesson F. You are probably watching this video between April 29th and May 13th. Oh, there it is. This video was filmed on April 25th. So let's start the warm-up. The warm-up. Today is Saturday. Today is Saturday. The date is April 25th. And the year is 2020. The month is April, the date is the 25th, and the year is 2020. The weather. Let's look at the weather today. So today is Saturday. Let's look at the weather. The weather is partly cloudy. The weather is partly cloudy. The temperature is, so let's look for the temperature. Right now, the temperature is 74 degrees. 74 degrees. So, today I want to talk about the high. Let's start with the low temperature, actually. I want to talk about the high temperature and the low temperature. So, when you look at the weather, you see two numbers for the temperature. You see one that is high and one that is low. So, we know that the weather for today is between these two numbers. These numbers are the high and the low numbers. On the left, we have the high number, and on the right, we have the low temperature. So we know the temperature today is between 51 and 77 degrees. Right now, the temperature is 74 degrees. So let's find the low temperature. The low temperature is 51 degrees. The high temperature is 77 degrees. That means the temperature today is between this temperature and this temperature. So the temperature today is between 51 and 77 degrees. The temperature today is between 51 and 77 degrees. We know this is true because right now the temperature is 74 degrees. And it feels warm. So let's talk about yesterday. When we talk about yesterday, we're talking about the past. We're talking about the past. So if we're talking about today, we say today the weather is. We say the weather is, but since we're talking about the past, we use was. Is for the present, was is for the past. So we say yesterday, the weather was. Yesterday, the weather was cloudy. Now, if we talk about tomorrow, we're talking about the future. So, in the present, we say is. In the future, we say will be. So, tomorrow, the weather will be. Let's look at the weather tomorrow. Today is Saturday. Tomorrow is Sunday. Tomorrow, the weather is partly cloudy. So, tomorrow, the weather will be partly cloudy. Okay, so let's review lesson B. Lesson B, we're talking about how many and how much. So, we use how many for things we can count, and we use how much for things we cannot count. So here are some things we cannot count. We don't count bread, cheese, or coffee. So we say how much bread, how much coffee, how much cheese. Here are things we can count. We can count apples, bananas, and carrots. So we say how many. So water is something we cannot count. We do not count water. So we say how much water. Is there a lot of water or just a little water? But so now we go to lesson C. So if we have a container, if we have containers, we can say how many. So this is water. There's water in here. How much water? There's a lot of water in here. It's really heavy, actually. But this is a cup of water. So we say, because this is a container, we say how many. How many cups of water? For water, we don't count water. So, we say, how much water is there? How much water is there? We say, there is a lot of water. How much water is there? There's a lot of water. But now we have a cup of water. So, a cup is a container. And for containers, we say how many. So now we say how many cups of water are there? How many cups of water are there? Well, right now, I have one. Because I have one, I say there is one cup of water. When we ask a question, we always say are there. We always say there's more than one. So we say how many cups of water are there? When we ask a question, we say are there. How many cups of water are there? But in the answer, we say if there's only one, see here I only have 1 cup of water. So I say there is 1 cup of water. Because we have one, I'm using there is. Now I have a cup of tea and a cup of water. Let's just say this is water. This is tea. So I have 2 cups of water. So now 2 cups of water. Because there's 2, we have to say there are. There are 2 cups of water. Oops. Okay, so when we have something we cannot count, we say is there and how much. But for something that we don't count, we say is there. So we say how much water is there? And the answer is there is a lot of water. The answer has there is. This is for things we don't count. But now we have cups of water. Cups of water are something we can count. So we say how many? How many cups of water are there? There's one cup of water, 2 cups of water, 3 cups of water. This is something we can count. So we say how many. So when we ask the question, we say are there. How many cups of water are there? When we ask the question, we always ask it so there's more than one in the question. How many cups of water are there in the question? So the answer, in this answer, we say there is because we have one. Here we have one, so we say there is. But here we say there are because we have 2. So when we have one, we say there is. When we have more than one, so here 2, we say there are. And for something we cannot count, we don't count water. We don't say 1 water, 2 water, 3 waters. We don't count water, so we say is there. We say there is. For things we don't count, there is. For things we can count, if there is only one, we say there is. If there's more than one, we say there are. There are 3 cups of water, there are 5 cups of water. But here, we only have 1, so we say there is 1 cup of water. Here we have 2, so we say there are 2 cups of water. So let's get some more practice with there is and there are. Okay, so in this sentence, we say, is there sugar? Is there sugar? Sugar. Can we count sugar? No, we cannot count sugar. So, marker. Another way to write this is how much sugar is there? How much sugar is there? Because sugar we cannot count. And because sugar is something we don't count, we also say is there. We say is there for things we don't count. So, is there sugar? The answer, yes there is, or no there isn't. Remember, isn't is just is and not put together. Isn't is the short version of is not. Another way to write it is there any sugar? When we ask a question, we can also write the word any. We can use the word any. Is there any sugar? Or we can ask, how much sugar is there? What's the difference? In this question, we're asking for how much. So the answer is an amount. The answer tells us the amount, how much. How much sugar is there? There is, I don't know, a lot of sugar. There is a little sugar. The answer has an amount. When we ask, is there, the answer is yes or no. Any question with is, any question that starts with is, the answer is yes or no. So, is there any sugar? Yes, there is. No, there isn't. I see some people writing no, there is. Only no, there is. This is not correct. You need to write no, there is not. This is correct. No, there is not. Or no, there isn't. So here we have apples. With apples, can you count apples? Yes, you can count apples. So, because we can count apples, we can ask, how many apples? Okay? So, for things we can count. For things we can count, when we ask a question, we use are there. For things we can count, when we ask a question, we use are there. So we have the question, how many apples? And we know we can count apples. So we always say, how many apples are there? The question is always, how many apples are there? We don't say, how many apple is there? This question, how many apple is there? This question is wrong. We don't say this. We say, how many apples are there when we ask the question? Even if there's only one apple, for one apple, we still ask the question, how many apples are there? This is how we ask a question. This is how we ask a question for things we can count. So, how many apples are there? Are there apples? Because apples are things we can count, we use are there. Are there apples? The answers: yes, there are. No, there are not. Here, we're asking for one cucumber. We're asking for one cucumber. So we say, is there a cucumber? Is there a cucumber? Cucumber is something we can count, but we only want one cucumber. So we're asking, is there a cucumber? The answer, yes, there is. No, there isn't. All right, let's practice lesson F. Lesson F, I want to practice the words some and any. So we use some for yes answers and we use any for no answers. But when we ask a question, we can use either one. It doesn't matter. So let's say, do we need bread? Do we need bread? We can say, yes, we need some bread. Or we can say, no, we don't need any bread. So, some is for yes, and no is for any. Do we want apples? Yes, we want some apples. No, we don't want any apples. So let's ask the question, do we have any bread? Do we have bread? The answer for no is no, we don't have any bread. But if we say yes, then we can say yes, we have some bread. Yes, we have some bread. Do we have bread? No, we don't have any bread. Or, yes, we have some bread. Okay? Do we need bread? Do we need bread? Yes, we need some bread. Or we can say, no, we don't need any bread. No, we don't need any bread. Do we need bread? Yes, we need some bread. Or, no, we don't need any bread. So what about this one? Do we have apples? Do we have apples? Yes, we have some apples. Or we can say, no, we don't have any apples. Do we have apples? No, we don't have any apples. We use some for yes, and we use any for no. Do we have sugar? Yes, we have some sugar. And now if we ask, how much sugar do we have? We say, we have a little. Or if we want to say the amount of containers, we can say, we have one bag of sugar.